different. It's definitely a different outcome. Michael Jaafar, he's watching along with us. What's your take on OJ, the Dream Team, the rest of it? Were you an avid OJ watcher?
Absolutely. I was in high school when this trial was happening, and I watched every minute of it with my dad. My dad was a lawyer. And this was the case that made me want to become a lawyer, because my dad had been telling me, hey, don't become a lawyer. It's a very difficult profession. Be a doctor. He wanted me and my sister to become doctors. She ended up becoming a doctor. I ended up becoming a lawyer. Why? Because I saw how animated he was when he was watching the OJ case. He was standing up on his feet, and he hung on every word. And so this trial is like emblazoned in my mind. I use this trial also in a lot of my analysis, right? I use it when I talk about the analyses with sequestration and jury sequestration. And I always say it's never going to be like OJ, right? Because with the OJ case, they sequestered that jury for 9 months, right? That's 1 million years. And so the jury selection itself was several weeks. That's never going to happen again. Remember during the OJ trial, and this was like a fulcrum in American jurisprudence, right? There's before OJ and after OJ. Before OJ, juries were not sequestered for 9 months because you did not have people watching TV in the hundreds of millions of people. And after OJ, you started getting the internet, you started getting social media. And so people who look at the law, so the law always catches up with society decades later, right? So the law right now has a bunch of things in it where it relies on jury sequestration. It relies on it. And I always say there's no more such thing as jury sequestration. You have a phone, you walk into, if the OJ trial was happening in 2025, not 1994, 1995, when you walk into the jury selection process with your phone's going to recognize that you're there for the OJ case, and it's going to start feeding you cases about the OJ case. Your opinion will be colored about that case before you are even selected as a juror, right? So the jury case, the OJ case is everything in our society. When I was in law school, all we talked about was the OJ case back in 2003, 2000. It was fresh after the OJ case. And we would talk about the OJ case, and the law is still catching up, right? Jury sequestration is still catching up. Jury ideology is catching up. This was the case of the jury. The jury controlled this case. That was everything. So I cannot understate the importance of that case. And one more thing you said earlier that I agree with, I use a phrase, I say Furman-esque, right? So like with Michael Proctor, I say his conduct, for example, was Furman-esque. There's several investigators, because things catch up to you, right? You were trained during the OJ era, and you are still an investigator. You know, you're going to think that you have covered everything about the OJ case is everything about our profession. Maybe 200 years from now, it will just be a historical thing that would not be relevant, but it is so relevant to this day to every single criminal case, even civil cases.
Yeah. And again, it's Sunday, and now you talk about a juror. We have a juror, Lon Cryer. His insight is brilliant. It's how his thought process went through all of the different, from Furman to the DNA evidence to the glove to all of it, and then deliberations. Oh my gosh, great backstories. Yeah, I think 4 hours after 9 months of basically serving a 9-month sentence with these strangers they didn't know in a hotel in downtown Los Angeles. So before we do, let's check in quickly with Michael Jaafar. Big case. Mike, he's a national trial attorney. What do you think of this case and the messages that are being given to the jury here in the closings?
I think I think the case has been proven. I think all the state has to prove is that he used a semi-automatic weapon and fired it, right? We have the shell casings. I'm not buying into what the defense is saying. And I have a little bit of a commentary on what I think the jury will see, right? So when you see a young man like A$AP Rocky, and I've been doing this for a long time, right? Men like him have a lot of bravado. And the bravado comes out in every choice they make leading up to the case, including their choice of counsel and how the counsel has to have and the type of demeanor the counsel has to have. And it's kind of unfortunate because I, as a person who's, in this industry, I can see straight through what happened here. I think he sat down and told himself, I want a pit bull attorney, and I want him to bash these people, because he's obviously angry. He's angry with his former friend, right? And so I think he hired an attorney. The attorney has done a good job, but he's being way too aggressive. That doesn't play well to a jury. That has been tested. He has been throwing accusations. I think a little bit of honey in cases like this goes further with the jury than what the defense attorney is doing. I think the defense attorney is basically projecting from what his client wants him to do. And I think his client is obviously angry with his former friend. I think he went too far. I think he fired a semi-automatic weapon. I think he made a mistake, and I think he went too far. And now he's going even further by digging his grave deeper with his choice of counsel and the way that counsel is acting. I think it's crazy to think that a jury would believe that the casings were manufactured or planted, or that this kid would, Efron would destroy his entire career by basically bringing these charges. This did not help him; it hurt him. Yeah, he's got the civil case, but I think he might be convicted purely because of everything I just stated. I could be wrong. I just don't see reasonable doubt that he fired a semi-automatic weapon and grazed the hands of Efron. I just don't see the reasonable doubt for that. But we'll see what the jury does.
You mentioned that civil case. He's being represented by the same lawyers that successfully represented Johnny Depp. So we will see what happens with that case. Yeah. For now, let's go back into court. The closing arguments by that defense attorney that Big Case Mike calls a pit bull, Joe Tacopina.